Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, but there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. Most importantly though, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Mark Doxey, Arwin, Ranty, Sleeping Warrior, and The Plain Truth. Good to have you all.
Yo.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How do?
Sound a little bit distant there, Nath.
Bit distant, I'm on mute.
Ah, no, you sound, when you were speaking then it sounded like you weren't sat in front of your machine.
Oh, okay, it should be fine. Have I turned myself up in the Hangout? I normally turn myself up a bit in the Hangout. Seems fine, levels are good. Hopefully the audience will say if I sound quiet, or they'll say, good, keep him quiet.
Let's do a bit of housekeeping.
You take it away.
I've got the answer to the first question. No, you need to ask the first one about
Any signs of curvature?
Oh, yeah, apparently Slice Arcane reckons now he's gone back to I'm showing evidence of curvature. Do you remember last week we had a hangout?
I do. He kicked you out because you asked him to answer a question you claimed he couldn't answer. Then he kicked you out.
Well, I asked it. He answered by asking me, was there a superior mirage in the image? And I said no. And he wasn't happy. But he demanded that there was a superior mirage and that I was wrong to take any kind of like observation or like interpretations from it because it was a hologram. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Anyway, he didn't like it and he kicked me out as a direct result of it. And I was like, well, that wasn't what I was expecting, if I'm honest. So me and Nathan kind of laughed about this. But since then, he's put a video out this morning asking me to go back in and have the same hangout based on the same point. And I'm kind of like, hang on a minute, you kicked me out of that hangout because you felt that I was being like intellectually dishonest about a superior mirage that you said was in the image that I disagreed with. Why would you now want me to go back in and have the same hangout that we could have had, should have had, and were there to do last week? And I'm sorry, Sly, unless you give some serious concessions about your conduct recently, there ain't going to be a hangout with me in it because you're trying to ask me to go back into a hangout that you kicked me out of based on what you said was a foul, but now you want to have the discussion. I don't think so. You either admit and accept that you were wrong to kick me out whilst I wasn't being rude to you and I was on topic, or you don't. And if you don't, there won't be a hangout. You can sit there in a little circle jerk with all your little cronies and you say that you can tell them all that I ran. But the reality is, Sly, unless you concede and make some concessions, there won't be one. And let's be clear, you were wrong to kick me out because I was on point and I wasn't swearing. You were wrong about Superior Mirage, but now because you now want to talk about it, so there must be something there. And you lose the home advantage now. You had it on your channel last week. You've messed it up. It won't be getting done on your channel. If it gets done anywhere, it'll be either on mine or maybe on Nathan's if he's gracious enough to let us. But in any event, it won't be on your channel. So you can sit there holding your own willy because I won't be there to hold it too.
Good. I don't know why you bother with those bottom feeders.
I enjoy Sly. He's one of the better ones. He's got skills. He knows the earth that we live on is not a ball.
He's a total clown, but I've got to be honest, I've got a soft spot for that particular pretender clown, and Sly Sparkane, you know, he didn't even get nominated for Dumbfuck of the Year.
There's always next year.
To be honest, there's only one outright winner for the Dumbfuck of the Year award, and it is Rumpus. Now, to be honest, I wouldn't suggest Sly as Dumbfuck because he's not stupid. He's just very deceitful and clever. He knows how to work things around. So, anyway, so that was the answer to the question. Any evidence of curvature? Well, apparently so. but it won't be getting discussed on Sly's channel tonight. He loses that home advantage, and 2 concessions will be getting made. Otherwise, there won't be a hangout Sly. You can't get away with being a knobhead and then trying to blame me for it. Don't think so.
About axial rotation, any signs of axial rotation? Anybody? Anybody?
Yeah.
Hello?
We don't have that inverted atmosphere that we should have. But then again,
drove.
Go on, Travis.
I was just gonna say I just drove by a merry-go-round.
Fair enough. That is axial rotation, and I'll grant you that. Pressurized system next to a vacuum. Any evidence of that from anybody?
Any evidence of what?
Pressurized system next to a vacuum.
No. Red's Rhetoric's got the explanation for that one. Apparently, it's something to do with this fictional force called what is it called? Gravity. We'll have to leave that one for him. He'll probably never turn up, but if he does, he's the one to address the pressurized system against a vacuum. Moron.
So he doesn't accept that that's just a presupposition like Jem Panda does. Then
I don't know what his position is. I wouldn't dare want to try and speak on his behalf. I just know that he explains it with gravity, and I'd like to challenge that, but I don't think he'll ever come in.
I don't know if he's in the chat now. I haven't been looking, but if you see Ute, Y-U-T-E in the chat, click on his icon, go to his channel, and check out a video from 2016 with Jem Panda, where he essentially admits and concedes that his ideas of gravity are based on presupposition only, and he has no evidence to back them up. So he has conceded this. Seems a bit more clear why he wouldn't want to come into this show anymore. Disingenuous guy that he is.
Have you guys seen the water rotation in the 2 hemispheres at the equator?
What, flushing the toilet?
No. They have some gentlemen that do it for the tourists, so they have it set up in 3 locations. One, a few inches past the equator, a few the other way, and then one dead on the equator. And it does appear to change direction, the spin of the water.
Yeah, it does. But then you have to apply the rules of evidence to it. And the first questions that for me I ask is A, is it falsifiable? And the answer is yeah, it could be faked. B, is it verifiable? Yeah, we could all go there and do that in theory, couldn't we? It is something that we should validate. We should verify that observation is true. It's really easy to do. Apparently, we should be able to sort that one out. But how credible is it? Well, it's not very scientific, is it? Because what he used to slow down the water was like a paddle. And when he slows the water down, it only takes a minute, literally a little flick of the wrist that you wouldn't really detect, and it wouldn't even have to be the wrist; it'd just be a flick of the fingertips because of the what's the word? The leverage that it would have when you flick your fingers to get a motion in the water when it looks like you've just slowed it down and stopped it. It's really falsifiable, that, and although it looks good on the face of it, it's not credible in science because in terms of the controls that are in place, he's controlling it. Right?
Yeah, I'm just watching it back now, and you don't actually, for all we know, he could spin that little flower, couldn't he?
He only need, well, not just a flower, but he only needs to, when he's slowing it down, the water with the little rudder thing, the little piece of wood, he slows it down, and it makes it look like he's slowing it right down, but that don't make it stationary, right? And it only takes a little tiny flick one way to influence that water, and then you know what will happen with the flower when you put it on next.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's credible, but it could be repeated. We could verify it to be true. But
Fair
what
enough.
would it actually prove?
Because I've just watched it now, and I thought, wow, I didn't expect to see that.
Yeah, it's worth repeating and worth seeing whether it's actually true or not. But you have to take it with a pinch of salt on that occasion because it is falsifiable. It's not really controlled in a way that would be.
Well, maybe there's another issue about it.
It's just a water mechanics shell game on the street where it's just a sleight of hand and misdirection.
That it doesn't even really need to be. Maybe we should just get into the causal explanation that is given for this effect, because they say it has to do with the spinning of the Earth, right? Turbulence from the spinning of the Earth. So could it have something to do perhaps with the position of the magnetic fields by any chance?
Possibly.
Would be good to test with strong electromagnets next to
you could have a
vortexes to see if that can influence it. in a persistent way.
It could be controlled with a certain amount of salt in the water as well. If there was a magnet close by, or there's some kind of electric field somewhere nearby that you don't immediately spot in the picture. If you've got salt water and there's a magnetic field or electric
No,
field being generated, it could influence.
That's not
the
what I
water
meant.
itself.
What I meant is the Earth has magnetic fields.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is that there may be other things that can manipulate that anyway. If there was salt water in one of them and not in the other, like a power line that was going overhead, kind of thing. That could manipulate one and not the other if there wasn't salt in the water. It is falsifiable.
Right.
And then even deionized water.
I think a lot of effort would go into trying to falsify that.
Not really. It depends on what the method was. I'll just give you a good example where you could falsify it with just a bit of salt in the water to increase the conductivity of the water.
Maybe that's not even necessary. There are still
Maybe it's not.
minerals in water, so.
But it could be retested though, couldn't it? It could be done with a solution that didn't have any magnetic what's the word? Reactivity to like power. You know what's the word? I can't think of the word. But there are other ways that could be done to test whether it's true or not. But on the face of it, it does look good.
We need to send a challenge to Pete and Peter. They'll do it.
I'm gutted. I bought Kaspersky antivirus software yesterday. Paid 30 quid for it, or the day before. And then I got the Costco thing through the post today, and it's on offer from Costco for 15.
Always the case, isn't it?
The next day as well, yeah, always. I don't know how it can possibly be the case that happens.
Send it back and then buy it again.
Nah, he bought it with a PIN, didn't he? So you just like get an online PIN, verify your order. Once it's set up, that's it. You know, you can't send it back.
Yeah.
Hey ho, at least you've got it.
Right, more housekeeping. Sorry, I just intersected there because I've just watched the video and just thought I needed to mention it.
Well segued. Any signs of a molten iron core that can self-perpetuate a magnetic field?
Paul Voigt claims that one. GeoStreamer used to claim that one, but realised that there was no evidence to support it and got his bottom smacked. So we're waiting for Paul Voigt's evidence.
R? Any signs of R? Proof of that?
Arr!
Arr!
While we're on the subject of R, that did annoy me yesterday. So basically, people like Ruhif become complete weasels when it comes to them just admitting that they've got a presupposition. You know, he tried to dance around it and then off-air admitted it. So it's just frustrating, you know. It's got me saying, yeah, just say yes. Just say yes, and his answer is no, it's not based on radius. So he's basically saying 7.6R isn't based on radius, and you're like, yeah, it is. You're just a liar.
Well, I might have this wrong, but did he not say that he wasn't dealing with the R bit? Didn't he say that he was dealing with the 7/6 bit, which nobody really struggles with?
Well, 7.6R is 7.6R whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but he was deliberately avoiding the R bit, I think.
Yeah, that's the bit he admitted off air. So on air, he's like, yeah, 7.6 is the bit that I'm dealing with. The R doesn't come into it. And then off air, I'm like, he said, I was just dealing with the 7.6R of it. And then, because I was in the other room doing something else, I came back to the mic and said, well, 7.6R, 7.6 of what? It's like, what do you mean? And I was like, 7.6 of what? And he's like, well, of the radius. And I was like, well, yeah. And I swore at him, because it's so annoying when somebody won't, you know, they completely defy you on air. And then off air, they go, well, yeah, of the radius. And you're like, yeah, you bastard. Why don't you just admit it? Don't be such a weasel.
Well, they won't. They can't admit it because they know that that's the Achilles heel, right?
Well, I don't care. You know, if they've got a crap argument with an Achilles heel, why not concede the argument and say, actually, you got a point here. Our entire worldview is based on a presupposition from some guy sometime. And if you take that back according to Brenda, it's based on some shadow on some light in the sky. It's absolutely pathetic. You know, the basis of this religion is sad.
Can't do that, though.
Well, they can. They choose not to.
No, they can't do that. They can't ever question their own model. They have to push it that it's true no matter what.
Okay, I'm gonna dig out a quote from Carl Sagan, which Jeranism quoted a while back. So if I can find it, just talk amongst yourselves while I do that. It's gonna take me a minute.
Sure.
Here we go. I found it already. My bad. I found it already.
Facebook.
One of the saddest lessons of history is this. If we've been bamboozled long enough, we tend to reject any evidence of the bamboozle. We are no longer interested in finding out the truth. The bamboozle has captured us. It's simply too painful to acknowledge, even to ourselves, that we've been taken. Once you give a charlatan power over you, you almost never give it back. That's Carl Sagan. And now he was talking about religion. Yeah? Well, heliocentrism is a religion. You know, Carl Sagan may have been knocking other religions based on his misunderstandings and his pseudoscience of astrophysics, but also ultimately speaking, he's absolutely correct. If you've been lied to, it's really, really difficult to accept that. It's far easier to just accept another lie on top of it.
I'm looking for a quote from Bob Marley that I saw on Facebook this morning, and I just thought it was really poignant. Bear with me while I find it.
So yeah, big shout out to Jaren of Jarenism. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm sure everyone watching this probably is already subscribed to Jaren, but if you're not, do. But yeah, that was from, when was that and what was the video? One Giant Lie for Mankind, Astronauts Gone Nowhere is the video. And it was from back in March last year.
Video yesterday, Nathan, about the boat drop.
I did. I commented on it.
Cool. Because I put a video out today about the dog bouncing in and out of that exact layer that I was talking about. And it lines up perfectly. You know the dog's legs are there, and it's the same thing happening with the boat.
Right. I don't know if it was just my resolution not high enough, but I couldn't see the rod. I was really hoping to see the rod. Did you catch it?
The rod? Fishing line?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the fishing line on the boat, yeah?
On the bottom? Underneath?
What, a reflection?
Yeah, like the rest of it.
Hang on, let me play it back and have a quick look.
Because obviously you've got it raw, so you're going to get more detail than I ever will through a broadcast onto my iPad.
Hang on, let me find the one. Bear with me. I'll have to look through it now. What are we doing tonight? Are we going on IRM?
I don't see why not. I'll have to check it with She Who Must Be Obeyed. But I'd imagine she'll be asleep, so I don't think she'll care. It's late, isn't it? It's about 10 o'clock.
Right.
So.
Yeah, 10 o'clock tonight, yeah.
Yeah, I'm up for that. When they explained the topic, or when Zach explained the topic yesterday, I was like, yeah, I'm well up for that. You know, they're explaining angle of attack on targets, reduced angles to the convergence point, basically the circle of confusion. So great topic, as that's exactly what we're doing currently. So you know, I'm well keen. I'm sure you guys are too. It's right up our alley.
What channel is it?
IRM, Iron Realm Media.
Right. Okay. And that's a YouTube channel, is it?
Yeah. So they also have a TFR radio show once a week, but they've for them it's the like graveyard shift. I think they do 4 till 9 or something like that, or 5 till 9. I think it's.
They still get 3,000 odd viewers.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, they still get a listenership, but yeah, you know, they're great. You know, we've done that once as well, which was very exciting, as it always is. Talking of TFR, just before I will put your video up in just a moment, Ranty.
No, it's fine.
Just because I've just plugged Jaren, did you notice when we went on, or when you went on, I should say, his show on TFR, how much more slick he's got?
I didn't go on Jaren's. Anthony Riley did.
I thought you went on the week before, or was that on Globebusters?
No, I went on TFR.
Oh, it was TFR, not Jaren, the week before. or whenever it was. Okay, I'm getting confused. Well, I'll just, if Anthony's there, maybe he's on the phone. He's on mute at the moment. Oh, we've lost half the panel. Wonderful. You there, Anthony?
Yeah, Anthony's still showing.
I am here, yeah.
We've lost Arwin and Ranty, though, just as he was about to present. I think it might be worth me starting a new hangout.
Yeah,
Okay.
start the new hangout.
Okay, right. There will be a short intermission.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Okay, so this hangout is now up and running. Hopefully, if you check Skype in the next couple of minutes, I'll get it into Master B first of all. There we go, done and dusted. And I'll stick it into a couple of others as well. Atom Bomb chat, maybe. There we go. Hello, Arwin.
Hello.
Hello, Ranty.
Hello.
Hello, Mark.
Back again.
Yeah, who was it who joined that sniped us then? Did we get a name for it?
I don't know. I just wasn't paying attention for a second or two.
No, I had my eyes on the video as well. So
It's
they
always
caught us
the way.
at the right time, didn't they?
Caused us at least 2 minutes of aggravation. Hey, Spurs.
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Right, I shall.
How are you doing this afternoon?
We're all good.
Doing good.
Very well. Hey, Sleeping Warrior.
Yo.
Is that it? That's everybody, isn't it?
They'll be making the way in.
Oh, no, Plain Truth.
Plain Truth's not here yet.
He will do. He just said he was joining us. He was catching up.
So, yeah, all I was trying to say before we were interrupted was the last time I'd listened to a TFR show from Jaren was quite some time before I actually went on with you. And he has come on. Hey, Plain Truth. Hey, Travis. He's come on massively in terms of his quality of production and posting ability. I was really blown away with how far he's come in the last couple of years. I don't know what you thought.
I love Jaren's technical abilities. I only watch it to watch him make mistakes.
If you listen to Jaren from like 2 or 3 years ago to what he's doing now, it's chalk and cheese, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, just almost a different person. Obviously, he sounds the same, and I'm sure he looks the same. But just chalk and cheese. I was, watching him produce that show and going, "Wow, you're right on it. It seems like you know when someone makes it seem easy, and you know that they're making it seem easy because they're good at it." I commented to him afterwards.
With integrity as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. I commented to him afterwards. I sent him a message and said, that was extremely professional. I'm extremely impressed. And he was like, he kind of played it down, but I was like, I meant it. He was very impressive in terms of his demeanour and the way he produced his show.
Well, yeah, we're talking about going on tonight because we're talking about this exact thing that we're trying to understand. I mean, a lot of the flat earthers ignore this topic altogether because it is very hard to understand. But I'm not afraid of trying to understand it at all.
Yeah, we've been warned off it. So we've been warned off this particular topic, especially with the turbines, by people on both sides, and it's nonsense. You know, I think it's a cracking argument. Anyway, we'll digress away from ranty if we forget again and just get sniped again. So, right, you're on screen. I'll make you nice and big. If you can move your mouse when you do any demos.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Well, this is the video that I put up yesterday. Now, because we've been harping on about the mirroring layer, etc., and this layer of dirty air that we talk about, a lot of people that are sub to me kind of already get this. I've had quite a positive feedback on it, but if taken on face value, you don't see the bottom of the boat, right? On face value, you do not see the bottom of the boat, but what you do see is a mirage of this is a person in an orange suit. This is a person in a black suit with a red thing on around his chest or whatever. And that's the front of the boat here, this black part. And the white part on this side is another part of the boat that's bobbing in and out of the mirage zone. So I'm just going to play this is from an elevation of 1 foot. And you'll see, there he is. He's just pulled a quart of fish. He's trying to bring it in. The boat is bouncing in and out of the mirage zone, right? So we're understanding this now. We know this happens, but people say stay away from this because it can appear to be showing curvature, but it's not. We're trying to answer this. Now, I did a video, I captured a video a while back. It would have been on the 30th of June. So I'm just going to play that. And this is this dog. So there's a dog that you're going to see in a moment, and this is exactly the same thing. Now, the elevation of the tripod was 2.5 feet, and the distance to the dog was 1.2 miles. I know that because there's a boat that actually comes in on the next video that's being dragged across the sands, and it came down from Bisbane Slipway. So it went right in front of the dog, so I knew how far it was. So what we're looking at is this dog here, and you'll see that he bounces in and out of the mirage zone. Now, he's on a flat plane. There should be no curve at this distance, but you don't see his legs, and you can see it bouncing in and out of the mirage zone. So it's all to do with, like Arwin said, it's to do with the right angle and the reflection. I mean, I know that Pete Shea has been one that's talked about this water layer that we see. So it's the same thing. This blockage that we're seeing here, this reflection, is of the sky. And it's causing an optical effect, which is actually blocking out the bottom of the dog's legs. So going back to the boat video, it's exactly the same. It's the same with the boat. The reason we're not actually seeing the bottom of the boat, if I play it from here, there's when I stand up. So there's the guy in the boat, and when I lower my elevation to 1 foot, we only see where my cursor is, but it's absolutely blocked out by this reflection of the sky. It's the same thing that happened with the dog's legs. So we're trying to answer, like I say, we're trying to answer these questions, and I'm not afraid to present things that the ballers will jump all over and say, this is absolute proof of curvature. Well, no, because we have to talk about this. We can't ignore it. We can't dig our head under the sand and say it doesn't exist, because it does happen. This is what we see. But we need to find the answers for this, and only repetitive investigation and recording of this stuff is going to find us the answers, and ignoring it won't.
Well, do you think that there's any possibility of actually narrowing down an answer? Because it's almost to me like the angular resolution. If you remember being in your bedroom at night and you see a light to the corner of your eye, and then you look there and then it's gone. So you can't measure that. You can't even pin that down. So we're looking at an observation, sure, but I don't think we're ever going to be able to specifically break down what we're seeing and make it mechanical. I just think we have to just bear with it and just say that that's what we're.
Well, I don't know if I agree, Travis, because we can do it in small scale. So Zachary Zabala has been doing this in small scale.
Yeah, and we can't, honestly, we can't ignore it, because this is a very real effect of the earth that we live on. That's it. It happens. This is what real life is about. This is why when I say it can't be modelled, obviously we have got people like Eru who is trying to model this stuff, but the ballers don't take this into account. This is not on their model. They don't have this mirage layer that comes down. They don't include it in the curve caps. They don't include the angle, the very narrow band, the angular size reduction distance. They don't include any of it. And you can see the dog in the foreground. It isn't quite, you know, it's not in that mirage zone. It hasn't got to that right angle. But the dog that's further behind it is in that angle. So whatever's happening, this reflection is to do with the angles and hitting that water layer, as Pete Shea would say.
I can't find the Bob Marley quote I wanted. It was something like, people are only happy when they're superficially telling them things that they want to hear, but they hate the people that are being honest. And that doesn't necessarily mean being cruel or horrible. It just means telling it the way it is. Like, if you tell them that the ball's not really a ball, they reject that with resentment, but all they're doing is saying, hey, there's not a lot of evidence for this. But if you tell them, hey, yeah, you got the Einsteinian maths right, they love that, even though it's wrong. And I'm like, how poignant is that? I can't find the quote, though. So, the turbines point. Ranty, do you have the turbines point with the 2 files that you made me download manually last night?
Did I?
Well, maybe the other night.
2 files. Hang on, let me check what it was that you.
It was the one that you sent on Skype to me and Nathan, and you said, like, literally, stop what you're doing and put this in on your computer now and save it.
While you guys are working that out, Spurs Europe, what you got?
Yeah, okay. So we get told that you cannot see left to right curvature because we're not high enough. Okay. So, you know, we're told to go higher, get higher, you'll see the curvature. So there are there's footage of what appears to be left to right curvature. So I was discussing this with a Glober, Lewis Hackett. I think you all know Lewis. And he was like, well, look at this, Spurs. Here's a video from 40,000 feet. You can see the curvature, it's apparent. I said, okay, well, it does look like there's curvature, but are you sure that you're looking at curvature? He's saying, yes, of course. So are you showing my screen? Yeah, so I drew a line across the top of where he said the curvature was. So I said, Lewis, you're saying that this is curving downwards. This is the curvature here. He's like, yeah, you can see it, I can see it, we all can see it. So I drew, give me a second. What did I do after that?
Where's the rest of the picture? That looks like a very unusual looking photograph.
Well, hold on. So what I did, I said to Lewis, okay, so if this is curvature, the ruler or the lines on top of the ball, we can see there are black lines. They start shorter, get longer. So the next frame of this picture, we should see that the curve drop, be more pronounced, and the next line, the next black line should be longer. So I said, Lewis, take your video, kind of go away, come back 15-20 minutes and give me a composite of the next frame showing this next black line. He said, yeah, sure, I can do that, no problem, and give me 15-20 minutes. He returned saying, oh, well, after 15-20 minutes, he was like, well, I'm not happy with it. I can't do it. It can't be done. I've done something, but I'm not happy with it. I was like, well, Lewis, just show us, you know, what you've done. And he was like, okay, so I'll show it, but I'm not happy with it. But he was reassuring that he's not happy with it if we're not happy. But he posted it. He said we were allowed to show it. But this was his composite of going from left to right, or from left to right. So he's done the line. He's moved the line obviously to the side. He's not kept it straight on for the observer, and he's made the composite a complete mess, basically. I said you may need lessons off Ranty how to make a decent composite. So the point is if any globers are telling us when they see footage from high altitude that they claim there's curvature, simply ask them to pause the video where they see it, draw a line on top of the ball of where they see curvature, and ask them to draw the black lines and show that they get longer and longer as you look either to the right or to the left. So yeah, I was even thinking maybe Ranty, if you ever come across high altitude footage, you could even probably show how it should be done, how you would take different frames and put them together in a way that's not manipulated in a way where it's not reality, because we don't see this in reality from this height. This is 40,000 feet, and Lewis thinks that we see this much curvature. Yes?
That's a pretty lame attempt. I can already see the discrepancies already.
Well, he did say, to be fair, he did say he wasn't happy with it. He did say he didn't want to show it basically to the world. But after, you know, like, come on, Lewis, just show us what you've done. He said, all right, he posted it. And yeah, so the point was we've asked other ballers, globers, to do the same. And they're very hesitant to make a composite of left to right showing curvature. We've seen computer programs modeling it, but not in reality. So maybe possibly, Ranty, you could. I mean, not that you have to, but it's an idea for anybody actually to make a composite and show curvature.
The most of that shows is a curve on a dinner plate. It's not showing us a globe, is it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a dinner plate could give you that curvature as well, depending on what angle you're looking at it.
He's got the curve of the lens, and that's showing from left to right in one frame. But as you spin the camera, that stays the same. So to make it into a continuation is not going to be possible. So when he's tried to composite it, you've got the effect of the curve in the first one isn't then a continuation of the curve in the second one. You can just botch it together and it'll never really fit because it's not a curve. You know, you're just seeing the effect of the lens. Just a big shout out to Raven Song. Thank you very much for the super chat. Much obliged.
Okay, yeah. So that was just an idea for fence sitters or anybody who thinks that they actually see curvature. You know, they can do it themselves. They can take still shots and try to find more space or that black line longer as they go along for the next frame. So it should be something like this, I suppose, on the ball. These lines, if you put the ruler across on top of the ball, the lines, you know, they have to get longer, and they can't get around that, especially if they say they see curvature. So yeah, granted, that's something you could look into just to debunk any video where they say they see curvature.
Yeah, I could look into it for sure. The only problem you do have with those high altitude stuff is that probably on some parts of it you're going to have high cloud cover, and on the other side of it you're going to probably have less cloud cover. So, you know, that can give you false distortion with those high altitude stuff. But yeah, I can look into it.
Well, they say, you know, you have to go high enough to see left to right curvature, and they say at 40,000 feet you can see curvature.
But it's not a ball. It's not a ball, though, is it?
No, not a ball.
It's not high enough.
40,000 feet isn't, no.
So why did they say? Why do they say then we see curvature at 40,000 feet?
Because they're retarded.
They don't know about the evidence to the contrary. They say that Concorde was able to see curvature at 70,000 feet, but when you look up to the high altitude balloon footage, it's that like 120,000 feet. It's flat as an arrow. But they're just arguing points that are not strong, evidently, because we can see that there is no curve at 120,000 feet. So if that's taken at 40,000 feet, it's not high enough. Everybody accepts that.
You forget they're very disingenuous. There's not that many people that can go in a plane that gets up to 40,000 feet. I mean, what's the cruising altitude for a jetliner? 36,000. So when they say 40,000, it puts it out of the realms of most people to get up there and see it. You know, so that's why they claim this ridiculous height, because they know it's pretty unverifiable.
Yes, and what's the focal length of the lens in the first place?
And what lens is on it?
Put it down to they're just lying. I mean,
They're just hopeful. They're clinging at straws.
It's absurd to still think that we live on a ball. Anybody that still thinks it is just stupid. It really is that bad.
What's absurd is the same point that Nathan continues to make when we bring this up, and that is that both axes are curving. If you can't see it on the x-axis, you can't see it on the y-axis. You can't have it one way but not the other. I don't even know what to say. It's incredulous.
Stuck Mark's avatar on screen for all to see. I don't know if Mark wants to explain his avatar. No. Clearly
No.
There you go. Hi,
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, to get a sort of spatial point on a piece of paper with a graph, you've got to imagine your z-axis is what goes in front of you. Your x-axis is what is horizontal to your eye level, and your y-axis is the up and down. And to plot any point within there, all those z, x, and y have to coordinate to get a pinpoint. And so if somebody is claiming that there's a curve over the z-axis, such as your Pontchartrain bridge, if you readjust your position and look at it again and make the bridge into an x-axis, it has to match the z. It cannot contradict itself. And we don't get that. Any bridge that you look at on the x-axis as though it's in the horizon is always dead straight.
Thank you, Mark. Very concise. Yes, if you can see a curve that is apparently obscuring your view as you look down the line of something, then if you go 90 degrees adjacent to that and look down the other axis, you should be able to see the same exact curve. You never see the exact same curve, you only ever see flatness in all directions. And then you have an obstruction on the horizon caused by a narrowing of a viewing angle, and that effect is called refracted hidden, which is apparently the figure we must use when we use the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective omitting curve calculator to presume we're on a sphere to begin with.
I struggled with that though, because that was one of the things that Sly pulled me up on. Well, he didn't really pull me up on him. I asked him to tell me the answer. I knew what answer he would give me, but I asked him when we're on the beach, is it refracted hidden or is it something else? And I asked him, was it drop? And obviously the drop is the point where from your feet, the geometric curve starts dropping away, but it's represented laterally, so that in the side profile it represents itself laterally, but in the first person perspective it's the value that the landmark has fallen behind what you would see on the screen as the horizon. That would be the geometric drop. And he said, no, that's not right. You don't use the drop, you use refracted hidden. And I was like, really? Now, when you think about it, when you are on that curve, when you're on the beach, if you are on that curve of a ball, then that which is on your feet right now would carry on round a sphere, and the land that you would be hitting at the other side of it, where the mountain would be, the base of the mountain of, say, I don't know, let's say the mountain's 1,000 feet. The base of the mountain at 1,000 feet would be where your feet would be, because that would be the 1,000-foot mountain coming just off the beach. So it's like, well, if that's supposed to be, the drop should be the value that we use, and he wouldn't have it. He said, no, refracted hidden. Why would you be using drop? But actually, it warrants further discussion, because I don't see how it can be anything other than drop when you're on the beach, because that is the geometric drop. What do you think?
It's like if you got some matches and you stuck them around a football, right? And then you wouldn't use refracted hidden on the football. You would actually just use the physical drop. You'd measure it, a calculation, and be able to say, okay, then as it goes around the ball, it does drop so much. I think they've, like you say, this hidden nonsense and refracted hidden is exactly what it is. It's designed to deceive.
Yeah, it's a variable that can't be manipulated.
Yeah, and that's why it always falls outside the scientific method, because you can't manipulate it to prove the
right.
cause.
Well, that's what I was trying to say earlier in terms of just accepting the fact that we see refraction and distortion in the distance, because you can't ever get there to measure what you're seeing, because every time you get there, you've changed your perspective. You know, if you're drowning, or if you're dying of thirst in the desert and you see a mirage in the distance thinking that's water, as soon as you get to that spot, you know what I mean? You can't ever get there. So even if we model it, it's still synthetic.
Okay.
Oh, is he in the chat?
Yeah, I've not seen him in for a while.
No. He's
I've
probably
not
been
been
ill.
keeping track of thingies.
He might have been ill after what you did to that bacon sandwich you gave him.
Yeah, I rubbed my knob all over it.
You're an awful man. But listen, it's waiting for the perfect storm, though, isn't it? Because there'll be at some point where you go down to the beach with your camera and everything is perfect from our point of view. And if you capture a building down to beach level, it can't be argued against. If you've got a good library of the past year of what you've done, such as Ranty's got, and then you get the perfect storm, you can always go back to that and say, this is the ultimate, and this is the real proof that it's flat.
Well, tackling the tough questions is, you know, what we need to do to advance the movement, essentially. So, you know, looking at the horizon and getting down lower and repeated observations, we're only, you know, a lot of people only put stuff out that shows one or the other. So you got Soundly that will put things out that appear to show curvature. You have other flat earthers who'll put stuff out that appear to show it dead flat. But you won't have someone like myself who shows both the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then tries to explain it with repetitive observations, you know.
La tierra es plana. Come on, mute.
So that's what the good thing about having this library, like you've just said, is because I can go back to stuff and I can compare. When I see an observation like the boat, the bottom of it missing, I can compare it to the dog and say, oh, that's good. Explains what I've been trying to say, but now I've got evidence to back that up.
It makes me wonder how many times Soundly. How many times has he got evidence where it shows it flat and he's just not presented it? Because I know from my own experiences that I've gone out and there are times where I've got evidence that it's totally flat, evidence that makes it 50-50, and the odd occasion where I've got it where it makes it spherical, like once, maybe twice. And I presented it when it was once. The twice it was borderline. It wasn't as strong as what I thought. Otherwise, I would have presented it. But point is, if we can get it where it appears to be curvy, then he must also get it when it's flat.
Obviously, he does. I mean, I can't wait to get over there at some point and do those experiments that he does. And I guarantee within a few days, I'd be able to tell you the exact spot that he goes to, the sweet spot where he can get into that line, that exact height that he gets that mirage in, as evidence when I was saying about the dog bouncing in and out of it, because that's exactly what he'll be doing. He goes to his exact spot. All it is. I would figure him out in no time.
There's a troll in the back chat.
There was.
Oh, okay.
So
Arwen was on fire.
So as to saying whether or not he's CGIing his stuff, I don't think he's CGIing it. He is physically showing what the camera picks up, but it's dishonest of the way he goes about gathering that, because he uses the atmospherics to produce that effect. That's all it is. Hello?
Yeah, I was just about to do a little link. We've got about 5 minutes left and then we'll have a short intermission.
I was just dealing with my lion. I wanted to move my feet and he decided to start growling at me. And I'm sure you guys could hear it in the background. He thinks he's a wolf or a lion, but really he's a little Westie. But he will bite my feet if I move them.
Well, good Tim's for all. He messaged me last night asking to go on TFR. Will all of us go on, because he's going to do a presentation apparently on this exact thing that we're talking about.
When you say all of us,
another troll in the back chat.
Arwen was on fire.
Yeah, it's regarding diffraction. So he's going to do a presentation on diffraction tonight, 10 p.m. UK time on Iron Realm Media's channel, and then he wants us to critique it apparently.
Just bring some evidence. That's what you need to do. That's what I said to him. I said, just bring some evidence of what you're going to assert and it'll be fine.
Hello, I'll place hold.
He. Great to see the troll account joining and not being able to play the music. What a shame. But you can't work out how that's been working, can you?
I'm almost starting to miss the moaning lady.
Yeah, the one that's being attacked.
The amount of trolls that were in just a minute ago when I made a comment and there was like I had 10 haters or something immediately. It's like they're all here en masse today. We got a lumberjack rapist in. I don't know what that means.
I don't think troll account realizes that nobody can hear him. We've sussed how it works, dude. We're like Batfink. You know, bullets don't harm us anymore. Our wings are like shields of steel.
Batfink. I remember that.
Batfink. Jeez, that's an old one.
Look at troll account joining. No music coming from troll account. Ha ha ha.
So I think one of the problems with the globe Earth idea about the flat Earth is that we don't have a model, and this idea about having a model. What I don't think the borders understand is that their model. So it's to do with the math, the numbers. Okay, so they say when we measure the sun, they get 93 million miles, but is that using trigonometry, geometry, the system? That would actually tell them it's 93, or is it added onto a model that supports the globe Earth model? Because if we measure the sun to be at a particular distance, what's the problem? What's the issue with our measurements?
Well, we don't pre-assume R, so if we do it with normal trigonometry, it doesn't come back at 93 million miles.
All right, so what?
We're wrong.
Hold on, who's that?
That's what they want to know.
Hold on.
Hi,
Who's
two-dimensional delusion. Good to have you.
Speak up. You're muted.
He might just be joining to placehold. Should give him a chance. He's got an icon. If we all get wiped out, I'll just start another one. Just blocking. We'll take the risk. Thank you for joining.
Good. 50-50 chance.
Yeah, as the whole panel drops. I'm going to round out in a couple of minutes anyway, and then, yeah, we'll all join the audience back in a couple of minutes once we've had a cup of coffee. I've tended to my little monster.
Yeah, because how I understand it is if they change the distance of the sun, then for the heliocentric model person or believer, it changes the size of the Earth. It changes the size of the sun, the distance of the stars, the size of the sun, and so on and so forth. So it looks like they're trying to make the numbers fit in this system. They say the numbers don't work on a flat Earth. I'm trying to find out what they actually mean when they say it doesn't work. So if we measure the sun or the moon and it says, for example, 3,000 miles, the only disagreement I think is, well, that would change the size of the Earth. So
what they mean to say is their numbers from their model don't work on a flat Earth.
Yeah, but 1 to 10 has always been 1 to 10, right?
It goes back to the argument over angular size. You need to know the actual size of any of the celestial bodies to know the distance, or you need to know the actual distance to know the actual size, and you need to know one to get the other, right? And they don't know either. So that's why I always ask, well, where does the number 93 million miles to the sun come from? And I know where they tell us it comes from, but nobody's ever measured it. It's all calculated based on parallax, but it's calculated giving you a scale. It's not giving you any distances. It's just giving you a scale.
All right. So, but why are we having problems then using? I mean, because it's not an issue for us if the true height of the sun is not an issue. It doesn't mean the sun is this height, so we have to change this. For the globers, it does. It means if the sun is 3,000 miles, then it changes everything. Yeah. So, are you just saying that nobody, flat Earth or globers, can measure the sun?
That's correct.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. Also, a massive thank you to all who hit the super chat. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!